So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May edition of Carpe Datum Prescriptions. Our guest today is Dev Mukherjee, CEO of Buy Seasons Inc. and Celebrate Interactive. Dev, welcome to our program this month.
Thank you very much, Suresh.
Great. So now, Dev, you manage a very large number of brands in your portfolio. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because you have some of the most prominent brands in the industry. If you could give us a little bit of background, that would help before we get down to the detailed questions that we have.
So that's very nice of you to say. We really are in the business of helping people celebrate, and to do that, we have three companies, and as you said, a bunch of different brands. The most famous of which, obviously, is Evite. Evite is the most used service on the internet for people to invite their friends to get together, whether it's for a birthday party or a different sort of celebration. And it is the preeminent kind of service in its category, and it's been around for more than a decade. So it's a great core to our company. Alongside that, by Seasons, we have a number of e-commerce brands: Birthday Express, Costume Express, Celebrate Express, and Buy Costumes. And as you probably already gathered, it's all focused around the birthday, celebration, and Halloween businesses. And we do a great job in helping mom really create a great time, great experience for her kids and her family, and helping families celebrate all of those special occasions that happen throughout the year. And particularly around Halloween, we help people of all backgrounds to come together and have a really tremendous time.
So you're really in the business of selling events and experiences. Could we say that?
I would say we're actually in the business of selling, I would say we're really in the business of helping our customers have fabulous experiences.
Great.
Actually, to one of the questions you asked, Shirish,
yeah,
it's actually very interesting. As you know, I ran the appliance business at Sears for quite a while, and it may surprise you that there's something very similar between the business I'm in now, which is helping people celebrate and come together to have a great time, and the appliance business. And it's actually kind of interesting how simple it is. Most people don't buy an appliance every year. They actually buy an appliance every 10 years. And as a result, they don't really know what to look for when they're buying an appliance.
Right.
It's a decade ago since you bought a refrigerator or a washing machine. Surprisingly, the same is true for celebrations.
Oh, okay.
When you have a kid, and it comes up to his or her first birthday, you actually don't know, many times, as a mom, how best to celebrate a first birthday. Because first birthday is as much about your son and daughter as it is about the whole family getting together to have a great experience. And you're celebrating not just the birthday, but this new member of your family. And so what we do is provide not only products, but tools in the case of Evite, and information on how to help people experience that great party, great birthday, great graduation, great anniversary experience. And so what you'll see across our combination of sites is not only a set of great products, but also a set of great information to help advise people on how to plan for these sort of events. In the same way at Sears, we provided information on how people should buy a washing machine or a stove. And leveraging the data that our customers give us and the data that they show us as they look at our content and look at our products and put things in that basket is an incredible way of helping them achieve that great experience that mom or the family or friends want to have.
So essentially you're saying it's a similar business, and the combination of technology, marketing, merchandising, it's sort of different proportions of it, but you're essentially doing something similar.
I think what I'm saying, Shirish, is that like many people in e-commerce or more generally in retail, we're actually in the data business.
Uh-huh.
Because it's the data that we get from our products, from our merchants, from our marketers, and most of all from our customers that really helps us be better at what we do every day. And this really harks back to the beginning of retail.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you would go to a particular merchant or a particular store or a particular service provider is because of their expertise in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And that expertise would come from a lifetime of dealing with customers around a particular area.
Right.
The great thing about the world we now live in is, sure, we can bring not only our great expertise, but also the expertise of our vendors and our partners to bear, but we can also bring real-time information about what customers are doing, what customers are seeing, what customers are looking at, and what response we're getting from customers around our products. And that is truly the joyous thing. We can do things quickly and learn things quickly and use that information to help customers even more.
So in a sense, we were using data before, we're using data now. It's just that it's a lot more data, so we have machines kind of processing the data, in a sense, to understand the customers better.
It's actually fascinating. I know one of the questions you've asked me in the past, knowing that I am someone who's actually moved between industries.
Mm-hmm.
I think you asked me a while back, whether I felt retailers were using these tools as well as perhaps people in financial services,
right,
or in other technology businesses.
Yeah.
And what I found is, yes, it's true that many of the large retailers, many of the large e-commerce sites are using data very well.
Mm-hmm.
But when you consider the amount of data that we have, we are really not using it as well as we might,
mm-hmm.
and we're really not tapping into what this data can actually mean across the retail landscape. So, yes, like ourselves, many e-commerce sites, many retailers are using the data, but we really have a lot more opportunity than we've really been tapping into up to this point. And that's really why retail and e-commerce is so exciting today, because we finally have the power to be able to dig into the huge wellspring of data that we have that is being multiplied all the time with every visit, every interaction, every purchase, to actually help inform our customers and obviously improve our businesses.
So would you say that the technology will help you do things which were kind of impossible to do before, or things which were hard to do before?
Shirish, that is a leading question, but I will answer it anyway. Yeah, of course. It's exactly as you said it. It's not that these things weren't possible before.
Right.
It's just that now we have technology that can process this information so much faster.
Mm-hmm.
And to be serious about this, that's necessary because the volume of data that is being created is so much more than was before. I mean, at the beginning of time, retailers had assortment information and they had transaction information. So we know what we have in the store, we know what we have on the shelf, and we know what customers bought. Now, as an e-commerce site, we have data about where people came from, which acquisition channel they came in on. We know which offer they came in on,
mm-hmm.
and that's even before they've even got to a site. Was it an email? Was it a coupon? Were they coming back after shopping before? I mean, it's actually fascinating to watch customer behavior. How many times did they come to the site and look at this product before they actually put it in the basket? I mean, that's data that we're getting even before they do any shopping. And then when you add to that the website pathing data, traversal, how much time they're spending on pages, what products they put in the basket, what do they take out,
mm-hmm.
Cart abandonment. I mean, there are so many things that we're now seeing that we capture data on. And, working out which tools we can use and how we can analyze that data in order to make good assortment decisions, marketing decisions, site decisions to improve conversion is really exciting. And what I find amazing is, even the most basic tools, your laptop with Excel on it, is now powerful enough to pull a huge amount of this data together and take a look at it.
Yeah, in fact, there is so much possible right now that it's more a matter of how you apply this technology to the kind of business situation that you're working on. That becomes kind of the more important thing to think about than a lot of the other things.
I would actually say two things. I think you're absolutely correct. For everything that we do, there are multiple choices. I mean, for something as simple as the reviews that we have on our site, there are multiple technology choices to do that. But the second thing I think you said, which is really implied by what you said, is which problems do we choose to explore?
Right.
I just came from a meeting with my team where we're looking at how do we communicate the number of items there are within a SKU. And that might seem like a very simple problem, but when you think about it, we sell balloons. There could be 4 balloons, 6 balloons, 8 balloons, or 12 balloons within a package of balloons. How do we make that clear on our site as a design, a site architecture question, but also how do we understand whether the number of balloons in the pack actually made a difference in how our customer reacted to putting it in their cart.
Yeah. So now, Dev, you've been on the technology side of the business. You've also been you're also on the retail side of the business. So you have I would say, a superior understanding of the technology compared to a lot of different people. Now, would you say that what we've got off the shelf right now, is this technology ready for the 99%? I mean, do these tools are they readily or deployable by companies which may not be as tech savvy as you may be, for example?
Shirish, again, you make a very good point. The question around tools and whether they can be deployed literally off the shelf and used off the shelf, and whether they're appropriate to our needs and people like us, their needs too, is a great question, because what I found is really two things. One, the technologists, and having been one for the bulk of my career, love to put features into products.
Right.
And that creates the second problem, which is how do you actually use all of those features? And so, as I've done a review of my e-commerce businesses, I've found that a number of the tools that we have, we do not use all of the functionality that's available.
Right.
And that really creates, I think, a challenge for our partners in, they need to make clear what those features do and how they could be used. And secondly, as an industry, we need to make sure that there's the right sort of help to allow someone to really access all of the data that is available and use it to customize those tools. And frankly, I think that actually creates an opportunity for a number of the new entrants coming in these days, because maybe there is a simpler version of the tool that would meet 99% of the needs of, as you said, 99% of the population.
Right.
I was lucky enough to be an early user of the Adobe tool set and the Avid tool set for the video editing, and had the resources for higher-end computer equipment to do video editing. But honestly, now almost everything that I want to do, I can do on my iPad.
That's right.
With an app that costs 1/10, if not 1/20th, of some of those PC applications. So, I think we all joke these days, there's an app for that. I think that we're rapidly approaching the point where innovators and entrepreneurs will provide simple versions of some of the really large e-commerce tools and make those easy to use. And as a result, you'll get much widespread usage and adoption.
Okay, yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the retail industry for a moment here. I mean, we've talked about the way technology can be used for, I guess, we talked about the retail model, we talked about improvements in the channel, and we talked about implications on innovation and staffing. I guess that's what we've talked about in the past. Where do you see as what do you see as the most important application? I mean, if you were to prioritize across the breadth of your business, where do you think is kind of the biggest bang for the buck in terms of using data related technology or data analytics related technology?
That is a great question, Shirish. The biggest thing in business, I think, today, with the amount of noise there is focus.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm going to have to disappoint you a little bit in really giving you not one answer, but four answers.
Okay.
I'm sorry about it. Because in each part of our business there are important things that we need to do. So if I divide up the retail model into your customer acquisition, product selection, pricing, and service, in customer acquisition, you're really understanding the acquisition costs by channel, including not just sort of paid search and other search or organic search, but even the impact of the new social media channels, I think is critically important. And product selection, truly understanding what the fully loaded cost and profitability of our products is critically important.
Right.
And then pricing has always been an important part of the marketing mix,
right,
and an incredibly important tool for retailers as we look at different packaging, different bundling, different timing, but truly understanding the impact of price on demand and profitability is key. And then finally, in the service area, really using data to understand where customers are having challenges with the site, with product, and valuing the post-purchase experience is important too. So in acquisition, it's data around the cost of acquisition, the value of acquisition. Product selection, it's profitability of products. In pricing, it's the impact of the price on the customer. And in service, it's really how to make sure that our customers who are celebrating not only what they want to celebrate, but the experience that they have with us.
So you are essentially saying it's across the board, across the entire organization?
I'm saying for each part of the retail process, one has to pick the thing, the KPI, some people say, the key metric that is important to rally the organization around. And so picking the metric to focus the organization, rally the organization, help leverage the data, choose the tools, that is the important thing. And so in each area to do that, I think helps make progress, but also there's a great book called The Alchemy of Growth, where they talk about the three horizons of innovation. And I would say in each part of the business, one has to look at not only the innovation that you need today to drive profit and effectiveness, but also the innovation you're going to need tomorrow to continue to transform the business.
Yeah, in fact, we've always talked about innovation being kind of critical to the survival and the thriving of organizations in the future. What kind of role does data play in innovation? I mean, how does it aid or abet or the whole innovation process?
That is a stupid question because so much of innovation is tied to the person who has the light bulb go off and suddenly has a eureka moment. I think data actually helps both with incremental innovation and what has been called radical innovation.
Right.
In terms of incremental innovation, what data allows us to do is to find opportunities to continuously improve, continuously tweak the algorithm to get more customer satisfaction, to get more traffic, to get better profitability. The best example, I think, that most e-commerce sites have is around paid search, where we're all continuously tweaking how we bid for words, use words, manage the profitability of words. That has become a science in understanding how to incrementally improve that.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, data allows us to look for surprises.
Right.
One of the most fun things I get to do or have been able to do during my time in retail is just look at what people put in the shopping basket, and
right.
not just in an individual visit, but
mm-hmm.
over time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the evolution of a customer's relationship with the company. And in my previous life, we found things like in the toy category, customers who bought princess dolls, part of the Disney collection, a couple of years later would be buying fairy dolls.
Okay.
Why is that? Because that's part of the evolution that little girls go through in how they play.
Mm-hmm.
Initially they play by living the Snow White experience,
mm-hmm.
and later on they live by having or they move on to having a pal.
Mm-hmm.
Tinkerbell is a pal who is someone who accompanies them on their own made-up adventures. We would never have thought about that because these are two different products that are bought at different times in a child's life. But by going through the data and looking at the sequencing of purchase, we were able to find out exactly how that demand, how that need evolves. In my current business, we see as mom buys products for her child's first birthday and then goes on to the second birthday and the third birthday, how her needs evolve, and what we can do, once she's on a particular track, to help her not only have a great birthday party experience, but also to do things in between birthday parties, like,
right.
for example, kids dress up.
Mm-hmm.
We know that by the time her kids are getting to 4 or 5 years old, now's the time to introduce ideas that are not just about the birthday party, but are also about things that she can do between birthday parties.
So you're essentially talking about predicting and sort of looking at people's behavior and trying to predict what they will do based on what they've done in the past and their profiles and using data.
Absolutely. We're looking at what people do based on, or will do, based on not only what they've done in the past, but what people like them have done in the past. I mean, this is a really fascinating area. Behaviorists have, as a subspecialty in psychology, have followed individuals and wanted to really get inside people's heads and understand how they think and understand personalities. What we're actually doing is turning that completely around and saying, we don't need to know what's inside a particular individual's head. We just need to understand what people who are like you like to do. And
right. That's
if
enough.
you go down a particular track, if you have a first birthday, let me give it to you something simple. If you have a first birthday that you've invited 40 people to, we know by the time you get to the second birthday, you're going to be inviting 80 people because you're that sort of person.
Mm-hmm.
And people who do that the first year go on to do the bigger party the second year. If by contrast, your kid's first birthday was only 10 people, your friends and family, but you bought the premium package and party packs, and you bought a beautiful personalized banner, you'll probably do the same for the second birthday because you've demonstrated that you're part of a cohort that likes to really celebrate, but also add a lot of value to the experience. It becomes a more personal and intimate experience.
No, that's fascinating. The way you can predict behavior. Now, and that actually, since you mentioned surprise, it sort of leads me to the next question, and that is related to advertising. And there was this, I guess, John Wanamaker from about 100 years ago said something like, "Half the money I spend in advertising is wasted, and I don't know which half." Now, what's kind of surprising to me is that was 100 years ago, and here we are sitting in 2013, and we have people still saying the same thing. So haven't we made any progress in marketing in the last 100 years?
Yeah, that's a great point. I
With all
think
the
all of
data
our
and
friends
everything.
at I think all of our friends at Google, and I know you have friends at Google, are delighted to hear that because Google is and their competitors are doing everything they can to convince us that marketing should be a science, and it's purely about, as I said earlier,
Uh-huh.
paid search bidding algorithm.
Or some
I
variation
think
of
that is
that. Yeah.
true. Say that again.
So some variation of that. Some variation of that
Well,
algorithm.
exactly, or some variation of that, for email or for display or what have you. And I think it's true. I think that for a number of the core tools that we use, it makes perfect sense based on what we were saying earlier, that we have enough data and we now have enough computational power to work out which things are working and which things are not.
Right.
And so we can not only tell which half is paying for itself, but focus the rest of the money on those things or similar things to get a better return, and even know how much we can spend before it turns negative.
Right.
Having said that, though, there will always be new tools that are emerging that we haven't quite figured out yet exactly what the algorithm should look like. I mean, my favorite example, even though it's now been going on for a number of years, is the whole social media way.
Right.
I mean, how much the number of people I still see talking about at conferences how important it is to have a load of Facebook likes. I mean, this is the Facebook like is the eyeball of old.
Right.
It's just a metric of the number of people who happen to have done something. And for all of the people who are celebrating that, there don't seem to be an awful lot who can tie it to any reasonable economic metric. Having said that, though, I do believe that social media and the power of influence is incredibly important. And again, in the previous life, I spent a lot of time with several startups around really understanding the social graph and the influence network of different people within loyalty programs and communities at large. And so, it's a mixture, is the answer, Shirish. It's a mixture between, things that are looking more like science and, some of these Horizon 3 opportunities where, we're really still exploring, how to turn it into an algorithm or really understand the impact it can have.
Okay. So, Dev, I know we're kind of almost out of time, but I have a final question, which we always ask all our guests, and that is, what is your carpe diem prescription for CEOs today? I mean, people are dealing with a deluge of buzzwords and technologies and all that kind of stuff. If you were to make one recommendation to a Fortune 500 CEO today, what would it be?
I know that this is probably going to sound a little cliched, but my answer would be keep it simple.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is for all of the PowerPoints, the snazzy graphics, the rotating video, what we need to do in business is still pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And so anything that anyone comes to see you to talk about, the question should be, really, how is this going to help my business fundamentals? How is this going to help me get, more customers? How is this going to help me sell more product to those customers? And how is this going to help me make sure that they are, happier, not only so that they come back, but they talk about their experience with my company and my brands with their friends. And if we can keep it to that level of simplicity, I think it makes it a lot easier for businesses to choose what it is they need and where they're going to focus and invest. And it makes it a lot easier for partners to talk to them about the things that they need to do. But as soon as we forget that those are the things that we're trying to drive, that's when it becomes much more speculative.
So, Dave, that's a lot of ground that you've covered in the last half hour or so, covering a lot of different topics. How would you summarize your advice to people who are on the call right now, who are listening in? What would you say were the 3 or 4 most important things that we should take away from this conversation?
Thanks, Shirish. I would say there are 4 things. First, buzzwords can have real impact today. You have to focus them on the things that you really need to improve today. Second, it doesn't make sense to worry about the data you don't have. Use and make sure you're using the data you do have. 3, as many people have told us, we've got to keep on innovating. So it's always think about how you can innovate your products and services today. And then 4, use the new buzzword ideas to never stop learning and to make sure that your organization continues to try and do new things and learn more and more as we go forward about customers' needs and how we're servicing them. And of course, next time you're planning a party or a special event, remember we can help you celebrate. Use Evite to gather your friends and family together. Birthday Express for that special birthday. Costume Express and buy costumes for yourself and your kids. And Celebrate Express for all of those great other celebrations like graduations or summer events. I hope you don't mind I got the plug in there, Shirish.
No. In fact, Dave, that's an excellent summary, especially like that last point about Birthday Express and Evite. I think that's kind of sums it up very nicely. So, Dave, thanks again for taking a time out of your schedule to talk to us. And for all of those who are listening, a recorded version of this webinar will be available at www.amazon.com/events. So for you to view anytime in the future. Thank you again, and it was great to have you on.
Shirish, anytime. Thanks very much for the invitation.